What's up, Raiders? Bionic here. Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're talking about Doom Tower, but I have some warnings for you guys. A couple cautions of things to take into consideration right away before you start working on your gear, your champions, and whatnot. So if you're thinking about spending some precious resources, such as ranking up some champions, perhaps doing some skills and whatnot, there are a couple other things you need to consider first before you give this a shot. Okay, so I'm going to use the example that I'm doing right now, which is the Nether Spider, because I'm a day behind. And at first I thought I was going to be able to do exactly sort of like how I saw on the sort of like best teams. I have the champions for it, but it wasn't working for me. So then it made me realize that, okay, there are a couple things that I'm missing, and it has to do a lot with speed, right? So the speeds of the bosses are obviously quite different. We'll cover that in a second. But as you go up the Doom Tower, a couple of other things change quite a bit, drastically. So if you think you're going to be able to scale up with your current team, think again. This is not gonna work. So let's start with the first point, which is speeds. And what I have for you guys here is my updated spreadsheet, and I've taken this information from the actual spreadsheet that we see on the website, right? So all the values are in there. Assuming this is correct, this is how I'm going to work, okay? I'm going to say that those values are good, but you'll see that there's perhaps some errors as well, so who knows how accurate they are. But for example, Cooled the Dragon, the first boss that we meet, is 120 speed on normal, then 150 speed on hard. You know, we can deal with that. But Agrith, here's my problem. 150 speed on normal, which is exactly like the Spider Queen, but 200 speed on hard. Therefore, my Cold Hearts are not exactly above 200 speed for most of them. My, let's say, Lydia or my Stag Knight usually also isn't above 200 speed. So if I want to walk in there without a turn meter booster, which is my Arbiter, do my AoE decrease defense first, then nuke with a Cold Heart, I gotta retune my champions. And you know, it's not just as simple as saying, hey, I'm gonna add 20 speed on my champion just like that. It's most of the time a full re-gear. So if you're going to start gearing for Agrith at 200 speed so that you can deal with her on hard, again, I'm going to caution you guys, don't do it. You're going to need even more. So let's keep going. Borgoth, we encounter for the first time on normal at 150 speed, on hard 200 speed. Then we meet Sorath next at 150 speed, 200 on hard. Borgoth we meet again right after, not sure if this is correct, but at level 50 this guy will be 150 speed on normal, 200 on hard. Then we see Agrith for the second time. She goes up. She goes up from 150 on normal to 175. She stays at 200 on hard. Well, let's keep going. Sorath 150, 200 again. Cooldoth keeps going up, 150, now 165 on hard. Agrith here at stage 90, for whatever reason, she goes down on normal. She went from 175 to 150, but on hard she goes from 200 to 215. So that means I gotta gear my champions and like one of my Cold Hearts to have enough firepower, but also to be above 215 speed. And that means my debuffer also needs to be above that 215 speed, right? So you might be forced to bring in a turn meter booster for the way your teams are currently built. Unless, of course, you already have some pretty amazing gear on your account and even your nukers are above these amounts. But like when I look at the best teams that I see right here, sort of like these champions, I'm thinking this guy put the Mortu Macabre in the lead because he was too slow. So he needed a little bit of extra speed to compensate for the fact that all his champions are not geared for those speeds. So going up, this team would probably not work against the next Agrith. Maybe he's gonna be just on point with it, but I'm predicting that a lot of us will not have the right amount of speed for this. Anyway, let's finish with the speeds of these last level bosses. Cooldoth will go all the way up to 175 on normal, and then 200 speed on hard. And then we have Sorath, which will go up to 225 speed. Same thing also with Borgoth, 225 speed. The last time we encounter him at stage 100. So guys, that's a substantial increase in the speeds that we are used to in the dungeon. So again, be careful when you're going to try and tune your teams. Account for this amount of speed. All right, the next 2 points are quite similar, but like they're not going to take as much time because I can show you with a very simple example, and I'll probably zoom in on this. But here I am on roughly stage 100 and up of hard tower. Look at the resistance and the accuracy of the champions in here. 250, 240, right? Keep going up, 340, 275 accuracy on stage 100 for a Mountain King. We have even further down Tormund's Rain Beast, 320 resistance, 300 accuracy. So if you think you have enough combined on your teams right now to either be above this resistance or to resist these debuffs, I'm thinking you don't have that. Even with a maxed out Great Hall, for most of my champions, I'm not even close to being able to handle that. Right, so I'm totally maxed out in here, and let's take, for example, one of my best champions right now, Lydia, 205 and 269. That means I don't even have enough accuracy to go over that resistance of those stages with one of my debuffers right now. And even on the ones that I really stack like a whole lot of resistance, for example, let's say my Skull Lord, okay, I'm going to be able to resist those debuffs, but I then can't apply my own debuffs, right? So you are not prepared for these insane values. We're looking at combined values of 600 to 700 for resistance and accuracy. Therefore, this is going to be ultra end game. You won't be able to handle this anytime soon, so I would say that at some point, probably just give up on hard tower if you're like me. Maybe make it to midway and then go to normal tower and work on your gear eventually, right? The next thing I want to also quickly talk about is the affinity of the waves. I say that because there's an example here, which is, if I'm not mistaken, 110. That's the 110 I was talking about before. For example, we're going to meet Koldath here. Right? Koldath is magic. So you're going to build a force team for him, right? Or so, maybe, whatever. But look at the waves you're going to be encountering before you get to Koldath. You're going to have a Spirit type Duchess, Spirit type Queen Ava, Duchess, Queen Ava. So like, the team that you come up with right now might work for the current waves that we have, but they're switching up the waves on us. Even though these are a little bit easier than the previous waves, because it's a boss stage, and they're relatively slower. If we look at here, the total speeds of these champions compared to, let's say, stage 109, where the champions, not only do they have really high, let's say, resistance and accuracy, but they also have very high speed. Okay, so speed is one thing, but also the affinity matchup is going to be something else. I think there's even at some point here, Rhodos, Mountain King, Sifi, Mountain King, Rhodos, with a whole lot of resistance and accuracy, and then 240, 260 speed. That is ultra end game stuff. And I get that some of you guys have like 370 speed Sifis of your own, but like for most of us, we don't have this. We're not equipped to being able to deal with these kinds of stats, right? So anyway, all that being said, what I will, I guess, suggest for you guys is to don't necessarily look at these so-called nuke teams that we see right here, which I've started putting into my spreadsheet, so keep subscribing, coming back for more, and I'll keep talking about these teams. But like in Ithos, nuking all the waves at some point is probably not going to work. They're going to be a little bit too tough for this to work. And also, if you don't have an Ithos and you're thinking I'm going to nuke with a Zorgala or something of the sort, you're going to encounter some affinity issues, right? So it's not going to be scalable. But still, some of the champions that are standing out right now is like Ithos, Septimus, Cold Heart, Royal Guard, Royal Huntsman I saw a couple times as well. Umbral I've been using a lot for like the waves in between the bosses. Seer I've been using basically everywhere, but I'm thinking my Seer at 220 something accuracy is not going to nuke that wave of Sifi and Rhodos, right, and Tormund, because they have 300 plus resistance. So I'm going to have to re-gear my Seer to be a little bit more end game. I'll also quickly point out, like, some champions have started showing up as well or being mentioned. I think Stu Gaming talked about Metal Shaper for Borgoth because he has a 2-turn cooldown for a shield buff, so that might be interesting. We do have Spider as well showing up a little bit more because is able to place the decreased defense and the weaken, which apparently is a place, not a hit, because unlike Otto, I think that Lydia is a little bit too dumb to do her skill. Stag Knight also a little bit too dumb to do his skill. We would have to use, let's say, Rosin in here to apply the decreased defense and weaken against Agrith, but it's the wrong affinity, so you get weak hits. Anyway, so a couple of things to cover for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Were you expecting all this? Are you prepared for this? What are you going to do about it? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later.